Alright lads, welcome back to the channel. I'm SAKO, but you can call me Jack. In 1943, the British government put out a requirement for a new heavy cruiser tank. There were many reasons for this, mainly that all British tanks up until this point were completely shite. Well, I guess there were a few other reasons as well. They wanted a tank that could take a direct hit from an 88mm gun, had better mine protection, and didn't have a reverse speed slower than a pissed up scouser walking back from the pub at 1 in the morning. Designers used the Comet's hull as a starting point. They replaced the Christie suspension with a Horseman type, meaning the suspension was now external rather than the internal Christie, making it easy to replace individual suspension arms. A handy lesson learned from the vast minefields of North Africa. The front of the hull was also redesigned, now welded and sloped. And we also had the addition of the fantastic, by 1943 standards at least, 17-pounder quick-firing gun. But unfortunately, just like the modern day Russians, who keep putting the same engine in every bloody tank they design, this new, heavier tank was being powered by the same engine that drove the Comet and the Cromwell, substantially lighter tanks. All in all though, the first Centurion was by no means anything special, and in many ways it was a mid-war tank. But to the surprise of probably everyone, considering Britain's terrible track record of designing tanks, the next evolution in 1948 resulted in the Centurion Mark III, arguably one of the best tanks in the world at the time, mainly due to its fully stabilised 20-pounder gun and a thick, all-welded turret. The tank that we're taking a look at today, however, is the Centurion Mark II. This takes the hull and turret of a Centurion Mark III, but with the old reliable 17-pounder from the Mark I. This gives us a tank with mediocre speed, decent armor protection, and while not having a fantastic gun, it is at least fully stabilised. The Centurion Mark II may not look special, and it is a fairly antiquated design, but just like the British in both world wars, it can still give those humorless Germans a damn good kicking. In War Thunder, the Centurion Mark II is a rank 4 premium medium tank located in the British Tech Tree. It sits at battle rating 6.3 for arcade, realistic and simulator. This tank can be unlocked by purchasing the Her Majesty's Hussars Battlepass and then reaching level 75, so that's a lot of grinding and at least 2,000 golden eagles. Being a premium, you will receive enhanced Silverline and research points gain. Its Silverline boost rate of 1.5 is standard, but its RP boost of 1.74 is lower than other British rank 4 premiums, with the average being around 1.8. So it's decent for making Silver Lions, but if you're looking to grind with this tank, then maybe the Action 10 is a better pickup. On to the part of the review that will make every British main cringe. Yes, the mobility section. British tanks are famous for being overweight and pretty stubborn when it comes to manoeuvring, kind of like a 30-stone American on a Rascal. The tank is powered by an engine producing 640 horsepower, combined with a vehicle's weight of 48.8 tons. It gives the Mark II a power-to-weight ratio of 13.1 horsepower per ton, giving you roughly the same power-to-weight ratio as a late war Panther G. In many ways, the Centurion Mark II is kind of like a Panther without the turret front weak spot, but more of that later. Anyway, the top speeds are also not great, 35 km/h going forwards and 13 km/h in reverse. But the biggest problem for me is the general sluggishness of the tank. It's a pain to change direction, and God forbid you want to climb a hill. When it comes to strenuous climbs, the engine decides to take a more French work ethic, shall we say. Hey, come on, this is a SAKO sniper video. We need to have some casual French racism somewhere in the script. But we then move on to the survivability section, and this is where things start to improve slightly. Taking a look at this cutaway, we can see that we have a crew of 4 men, with a driver in the hull, and the other 3 men are in the fighting compartment. We also have 2 large stockpiles of ammunition, one next to the driver, and the other, as you can see, directly underneath the turret. This means if a 75 or 88mm German AP round decides to penetrate your armor, your tank, and your crew members will be rapidly disassembled in every direction possible. This can be mitigated slightly with the 12 smoke grenades this vehicle carries, mounted 6 either side of the turret. These fire at 6 at a time, meaning you have 2 charges of smoke grenades. Apart from that, the Centurions generally have very poor survivability, especially in games where you're fighting the Germans. Not only do they have high penetration guns, but they also have very healthy doses of TNT filler, leading to lots of quick deaths when you're facing German vehicles. Even in a down tier to 5.3, the Tiger and Panthers can still easily pen you at close range. Speaking of which, let's go on to the armor. Both the upper and lower frontal plates are 3 inches thick or 76mm. They are also angled, making the effective thickness up to around 127mm or 5 inches thick. The turret varies in thickness greatly, but the main weak spot, the roof, is around 178mm thick after the angling is taken into account, and the mantler around 195mm thick. The side of the hull is 50mm thick, making it vulnerable to quite a lot of SBAA and low caliber rapid firing guns. So be careful and watch your flanks. Always assume there's some no good German coming from the south through some French forests. Anyway, if we take a look at the penetration visual, using a Panthers gun at 100 meters, all of the hull is easily penned, but the turret is pretty safe. Even the weak roof is somewhat immune to the Panthers gun, but remember this tank is battle rating 6.3, and you will see up tiers to scarier guns. This is demonstrated well by the King Tiger. At 0.4 battle rating higher, the long-barreled 88 can easily punch through the majority of the tank, and more importantly, can reliably do it even at longer ranges. But can the Centurion do the same with its gun? Well, it's armed with the 76mm quick-firing 17-pounder of Sherman Firefly fame. The gun in War Thunder is first found at battle rating 3.3 on the Achilles, the British M10 Wolverine. The gun is pretty average in caliber, but it is high in velocity for the battle rating. You can fit 77 rounds into the vehicle, which is surprising considering the size of the cartridge, made famous by the Fireflies having to mount the gun sideways. Luckily, in War Thunder the strength of your loader isn't in the crew skills, but given Gaijin's track record, a loader with bulging biceps is probably going to be a premium add-on in a couple of years' time. With a stock crew, you can reload every 7.67 seconds, and with an ace crew, that drops down to 5.9 seconds. This compares pretty favourably. The Panther, which we compared armour to earlier, can reload at 7.4 seconds, and the King Tiger 7.5 seconds, both with an ace crew. So generally, you do have a slight advantage when it comes to fire rate over medium tanks. And you should generally dominate heavy tanks, especially Soviet heavies, with 15-second plus reload times. Your ability to brawl is also aided by the 2-point gun stabilizer. This obviously gives you a huge advantage as it generally allows you to get the first accurately placed shot off, as well as having the ability to fire accurately on the move. This is one of the reasons the Shermans are so good at close quarters combat. Anyway though, the stabilizer used to make the German main sieve, and I will never forgive them for getting the Centurion Mark III moved up in battle rating to 7.3. Anyway, when it comes to gun handling, we have a surprisingly good 12 degrees of gun depression, as well as 20 degrees of gun elevation. The turret can also traverse at 20 degrees per second with an ace crew, which is 1 degree faster than a King Tiger, so still quite slow in general to be honest. The real pain starts though when it comes to the vertical targeting speed. This is how fast the gun can travel up and down. You know when you get too close to a wall and your gun starts to climb, and then you poke around the corner to try and shoot someone, but your gun is still pointed at the bloody International Space Station, usually resulting in you getting killed? Yeah, this tank sucks for that. With only 4 degrees per second, it feels like cock and ball torture without the cock and balls. What also feels like torture is the ammunition. I don't know if Gaijin has been messing with the APDS rounds, but I've been getting a hell of a lot of shatters. Anyway, the tank has 6 rounds to choose from, the majority not worth mentioning. We have a standard AP, HE and smoke round, none of which I generally carry. The first of the 2 rounds I recommend is the Shot Mark 8. This, like the gun, is a 3.3 round really, but it is still impressive, capable of punching through 190mm of armour at point blank range. Against the Panther at a range of 100 meters, we can go through the upper plate and the flatter parts of the gun mantler. Unfortunately, against a King Tiger, we can't do shit. The Shot Mark 8 is your all-purpose round. Being full caliber, it gives you good post-pen damage and pretty good penetration against all but the heaviest of heavy tanks. But we also have the Shot SV Mark 1. This is an APDS round, meaning it is sub-caliber. This type of round trades post-pen damage for sheer penetration power. This round allows you to pen the heavier tanks, thanks to its 269mm of penetration at point blank range. Against the Panther, as you can see, easy lol pen pretty much everywhere. And the King Tiger, well, it's better at least. We can go through the machine gun port, as well as the flat turret face. Remember though, these are very small targets, so don't try to trade shots at long range with a German long-barreled gun, as they only have to get lucky once, whereas your APDS rounds will barely penetrate them, and due to its subcaliber nature, it almost certainly is going to kill them in a single hit. Against softer targets, the shot Mark 8 is recommended, as you have decent enough penetration and predictable post-pen damage. I do carry a large amount of APDS though. I generally prefer having high pen rounds. At least I know I'm going to go through what I'm shooting at. This does lead to trouble against lighter targets though. I've spent upwards of 5 rounds killing damn Hellcats with APDS, as there isn't enough armor to create spalling. In summary, just carry a selection of rounds. To conclude though boys, I think the Centurion Mark 2 is a surprisingly good reward vehicle. While it has been left a bit behind in the meta, not helped by its awful power to weight ratio I might add, it's still a good little brawler. The biggest issue is more the British 6.3 lineup, which is basically non-existent, as well as not really anyone being that interested in the British tech tree. But apart from that, the tank does feel a little bit over-tiered. It should really be a battle rating 6.0 vehicle with the abomination that is the Black Prince. Facing battle rating 7.0 games in this thing is very rough, but even in updates you can use that APDS to good use. Just don't expect to get kills quickly in this thing unless you aim for ammo or crew. While I am not grinding this battle pass due to real life priorities, the Centurion Mark II is a well earned reward for those who enjoy the British tech tree. As always, a big thank you to all my YouTube members, and be sure to let me know down in the comments what vehicle you guys would like to see me review next. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I've been SAKO, and as always, thank you very much for watching.